Welcome to the Business Building Blocks podcast, where we talk about struggles and celebrations that leaders and entrepreneurs experience on their journey to success. I'm your host, Kristina, and I'm passionate about helping you achieve massive amounts of success at work and at home. We'll talk about all things people and organizational wellness, share relatable stories, and feature insightful guests because quality people and processes are at the heart of every success story. Ready to learn, grow, and have fun? Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Business Building Blocks podcast. I'm your host, Kristina Schmitt. Today, I'm going to talk about something that we'll say is near and dear to my heart, not because I like it, but because I have fallen prey to it many times and needed lots of help with it, both my own help, other people's help, everything else. So what I'm going to talk about today is how to deal with problem employees. And I am putting quotes around that. If you're on the video, you can see not only my updated background, but problem employees is quoted. And the reason I am quoting the problem employees is because what I want you to stay away from first and foremost with this is labeling them as problem employees. They may feel like problem employees. They may meet every definition in your brain that you've created as a problem for you. But really what they are is they're people having a hard time with the situation. And that might sound like I'm trying to nice it up, and I'm not. I'm not trying to nice it up. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get to a reality here that people are not inherently good or inherently bad. They're not wholly good, wholly bad. What they are is they are having a hard time here or not performing this task or this behavior the way that you want. So let's get away from that mindset of this overall label. So it will happen naturally, and it happens all the time. Like, even though I talk about it, I still do it, but it happens naturally because that is what our brains are wired to do. This is the reason I share with you these behavior models all the time, is because when we can bucket and label things, it makes it easier for our brain to process. And that is a neurological shortcut that our brains will take naturally, because if we had to nuance everything or actively think through everything, we wouldn't be able to function. Our brain, think about it as your computer system. If you have way too many things open, your RAM gets full and it slows your whole computer down. And you therefore have to put things off in the background. And that's what this labeling action does for us. But what I want you to do, if you have someone you're struggling with, is I want you to take the label off. I want you to take that label off and start just looking at the behaviors. And that's what brings us to number one. I'm going to give you 3 steps plus a couple of bonus steps for how to deal with your quote unquote problem employees. So step 1 is to focus on the behaviors, because we are not all good and all bad. Like I said, we are a group of behaviors, and that group of behaviors will give us the personality, create our personality, or give people the impression of our personality. Behaviors are just that, behaviors. We typically, I'm going to say typically because maybe some people are, but typically people want to do a good job. If they don't want to do a good job, then you need to kind of look at their personality, or maybe look at the environment in which they are, because I think I talked about it in the last episode or 2 episodes ago. This complete resentment that happens that creates this quiet quitting behavior. So there might be an element of that. So there's some introspection of your leadership style that might need to be looked at if you've got people that actually don't want to do a good job. But typically everybody wants to do a good job. People like to feel that they're contributing, and that is how we have engaged people. People are like, yeah, I was part of this. I am a part of this. And that feeling of being involved and doing a great job to contribute to the overall goal, people want that. That is a natural motivator for people. And when they don't have it, we have to look at why. Okay, so what we want to do, first of all, is focus on the behaviors. And this might be easy because it might be assignments are in late. Okay, it's not that they're a lazy person, it's their assignments are in late. That's the behavior we're looking at. We're not looking at this overall person, right? I talked about a lot in Working Genius, this fundamental attribution error. Like, one bad behavior does not encompass a bad person. Okay, so focus on that behavior. You may find that you're struggling to identify what the behavior is. There might be a gut feel that just something isn't working. So what I want you to do, if this is where you are, and I have been there, I've had people that it's like the nuts and bolts of the job get done, but there's something in the way that they're doing it. that doesn't mesh. There's something about how the delivery of it is happening that isn't working. And a lot of times what that is that there is some violation to your value system or your belief system. So let me explain that a little bit more. If, let's say, great employees are very clear and concise with their answers, like if you have this belief, like if you're a great employee or a great person, you're just going to tell me like it is. Did you do the thing? Yes, I did the thing. Did you not do the thing? No, I did not do the thing. Okay, so that is very straightforward. But maybe this person is like talking all over the place, is like, well, we were looking at it this way, and then we did this, and then we, and so when you come away, you're like, they didn't answer my question, right? That is a violation of your belief. And this person might be dancing around the truth because they don't want to tell you they didn't do it. Or maybe they just give way too many details, like because they haven't learned how to break the details down. I have had several employees that, when I ask about, okay, how's it going? They want to give me every single detail of how like the meeting went or how something is happening or who said what precisely. There might be reasons for that, but it is a skill set for us all to learn to be able to summarize and kind of give the straightforward answer. And so you might have to correct that behavior and say, I just need you to say yes or no. 5-second answer, what is it? Because it just is or isn't. There might be a reason that they feel unsafe to say it, but that is all going to happen when you have the conversation, which moves us to step 2, which is have the conversation. So once you've identified the behavior, so I'm going to pause before I get to step 2 to give you a little more details on that. Identifying that behavior. So typically it is a violation of your belief system or a violation of some kind of behavior expectation that you have. And I think I've said this many times before, but we all have to repeat ourselves a lot. Behaviors and fitting, I guess, upholding the value system of the organization is just as much of a performance requirement as doing the nuts and bolts of the job. So if somebody is violating maybe your personal values or the company values, they are not meeting the expectations of the job. So that is still just as much as, and sometimes it gets lowered down because we think, oh, but they're getting the work done. But it is actually a bigger impact if their behaviors are not aligned with the company values or your value system, because that is breaking the team down. That's causing some animosity. That's creating an environment where people don't feel safe. That it does not work. So it is just as much of a behavioral expectation problem as just not doing your job. So keep that in mind if you're struggling to identify the behavior. A lot of times when you're in it, you get these feelings of things happening and it's hard to name it, right? Because we need to name things. We need to be able to label them, but not as whole persons, but the behavior. We need to be able to say what it is in order to clarify it to the other person so they can fix it and really be able to talk about it. So what's going to help you with that is to be able to start breaking it down. I am going to strongly suggest either writing it down or finding a third-party person to objectively look at this with you. Because when you're in it, it's hard to see. So writing it down can help, but sometimes that might take longer. Sometimes you lose the thought in your head as you're writing it down. But if you're stuck, just start writing, right? And you will get some level of clarity there. But what's better, because somebody might be able to ask you a question that you won't even see in your own writing of it, but to be able to talk it through with somebody. So some suggestions are, if you're a big enough company that you have an HR resource, that is a fantastic way to do it because that's kind of their job sometimes. If you have a coach, talk through it. I am always available to talk through these things. I'll talk about it at the end, but I do have a free call that I set up with people now. Just you can come, first time call with me, just talk through something. So that is also an option, like talk through what is going on and we can get to the root of the problem and give you some actions to deal with it. But having that third-party objective person allows them to start to see some of the behaviors and start to hear what you're mentioning and the things that are bothering you. And they can help you identify, is this a you thing that, maybe it is a you thing? Or is this a them thing? And help you to see, okay, what are my next steps that I need to do? Or how do I need to more clearly clarify my expectations in terms of a culture or behavioral sense so that people can then uphold them? So that is a very huge, huge part of it. So if you're having troubles, get that third-party objective person or write it down and read through it. So step 2. All right. The step 2 is actually have this conversation. And I've done several episodes where I talk through this, but I'm going to talk through it again because the more we talk about it, the more we hear it, the more likely we are to do it. So once you've identified what this behavior is, have the conversation, and it should start like this. When I'm having a conversation, I expect this, right? And state that expectation. Or when I assign a task, I expect feedback, directly. Or when I am asking how something is going, I expect it to be a very brief feedback. I don't need all the details, right? Like that is clearly stating the expectation. Okay, so state your expectation, state what you're observing. When I ask, I get a lot of detail, I get too much detail, and then I come away and I still don't have an answer. Okay, so just very clearly state what the struggle is, or might be an attitude way. When I assign work, I expect people to say, okay, and maybe ask some follow-up questions if it's unclear, but to do the work. But just state what it is that you've clearly identified, and then say, let's talk about this. What are your thoughts on this? Just open the conversation up. Sometimes this person might have a lot of nervousness to open up, especially to their boss, their leader, their, the owner of the company, whatever it might be. So you need to kind of make it safe and just say, look, you're a great person. I want to help you. This is going to help you at work. This is going to help you in life. And open it up, make it safe. So it might take several conversations and proof that it is safe for them to be able to quality open up. But ultimately, when you're having this conversation or problem solving, you're getting to the root of the problem. Like, what is it that is causing this? And again, with this several layer conversation, it might not be the root cause. But what you'll do is you come up with what the potential reason is. And then you'll come up with a solution for that reason. It might be, I didn't know. Okay, so you didn't know. Totally fair. Now you do. What other help do you need to make sure that you're keeping up with this, right? So what you're doing is you're coming up with what we think the problem might be, and then a potential solution to solve the problem. And this might be a quick action. This might be it might be something quick and easy that they can do on their own, and it fixes the whole thing. It might be, but it might not. It might say, I need a regular reminder, or can you help me identify when I'm doing that? Because I don't know, I'm not seeing it. Great. Yes, I can do that. But you have to do that, right? You have to actually do that and then follow up. So this brings us to, let me finish this before I go to number 3, because everything leads to the next step already so easily. Once you set this thing, because there is a high-ish likelihood that you might not have the real problem and you might not have the best solution. So what you're going to do is you're going to continue to say, okay, well, the last time we said this would fix it and I'm still seeing it. What might else be causing it? Or start digging in again. So several layers. We are onions, right? We have layers. We've been watching Shrek at my house again. We have layers. So you might have to do that several times. So this again leads us to step 3, which is document and follow up. So as the title of this episode, topic of this episode has shown us, this is somebody we have labeled as a problem individual. What that means is that we are likely at the point where we start to document, and documentation comes in when we're looking to move to an escalation sort of step, AKA letting them go. Okay. So it can happen before, and it's a good practice to do it. But even if you're not there yet, even if you're saying, I don't want to fire this person, still document, because number one, it helps both of you. That is the reason. Yes, it shows a consistent sort of discipline level if we have to escalate. But number 2, it is so helpful, because let's say you did come up with the one problem we think it might be and the one solution. Now you've written down what you thought at that time. If you've ever worked with somebody who's really good at scope creep, sometimes those things change, or sometimes we try to stretch the goal into something more than what it is. So this documentation can let us refer back to that to make sure we haven't scope creeped the action or scope creeped the problem that we're trying to do, and we're not just still trying to solve this thing that we just continue to add more layers to, because we like layers. So make sure that you write it down and then you refer back to it. So a great way to document is have this conversation, write down exactly, okay, this is what we think the problem is, this is what we think the solution is. So write that down together. And then you, as the boss, as the leader, go and write an email. And if you have HR, CC HR, but just write an email. Hey, I just want to summarize our conversation. We said this, and this was the issue, and this is what we're going to do about it. And we agreed that this is our next follow-up date. So that follow-up part. So don't skip these 2 steps. Don't skip especially the follow-up step, because when we don't follow up, this is when things fall off. And when we don't follow up and we allow things to fall off, this is what degrades everything we say. If we have given feedback before and not followed it up, then our feedback now becomes less important, less actionable, and people are going to not fix it. So please do this step 3, because this is going to be the thing that helps. The other 2 obviously help, but the step 3 is the part that makes everything continue to happen. Because when it doesn't happen again, you then repeat. You make sure you've got the behavior identified. You address the same thing. You say, we said this before. It's not happening. Remember, see here our documentation, we wrote it down and it's not happening. What's going on? So now you're problem solving again and you're repeat. So that will then eventually either lead to fixing or escalation, or they might leave. Okay. So those are 3 very real possibilities of what will happen if you do this. Every solution or every consequence of this is better, because if you are suffering under someone that you feel like is a problem child, a problem employee sort of thing, again, we're not labeling them, but if you feel this way, it is draining them, it is draining you, it is draining your team, and it's not good. It's not good for any of us. It's not good for your business. So all 3 of these consequences, whether we see improvement, it leads to escalation, or they leave, are all better than where you are today. So let's stick to it. Let's do these 3 steps. Now, this is I'm going to call this step infinity, because this is the proactive step. If you want to not have problem employees anymore, then the one thing that you can do is to address problems as they come. It might seem petty, somebody in their first week who is, putting out a report wrong. It might seem like, oh, they'll figure it out. It's not. No. You give them the feedback. You let them know, because this is kind. If you continue to let them do this thing wrong, then they'll continue to do it wrong. And then everyone's like, why does this person still always do this wrong? And it's because nobody corrected them. So when you see it, address it. People might find this a little bit annoying, but eventually they'll stop doing it. So we address things real time, and then we don't get here. Because ultimately, if you have somebody who you're now labeling as a problem employee, the truth is that they have had several instances of behaviors that have gone unaddressed, or addressed and not fixed, or not followed up upon. So those are both bad and create a problem. So now this is my bonus step for you, or my bonus, help for you, my coaching moment for you. If these steps feel hard, if it feels hard to address problems in real time, if it feels hard to break down the conversation or break down the behavior and find the behavior to have the conversation and to follow up on the conversation, if these things feel hard, this is a behavior that needs addressing. And I'm going to help address that for you right now. Okay. Oh, when you're a leader, or when I see leaders, I expect them to address the problems that their teams are having, because it's just going to make everybody's lives better. It's going to give them higher performance, everything else. What I'm observing is that there are several behaviors that are going unaddressed. What are your thoughts about that? Now, take a page, take a journal, take something, and just start writing down your thoughts around addressing behaviors. Because there is probably a deep-seated belief, if you're struggling with this, there's a deep-seated belief that addressing behavior is bad. They won't like me. It's conflict. It's something. Like there is an underlying belief that you have that we need to address and create an action for. So do that. If you would like more help with that, I have a free call that is on my website. You can go on there and book an hour with me to talk through some stuff. Like we can talk through your whole business. We can talk through this specific problem, but what we'll do is we'll figure out what's going on and we'll give you some action steps to address it. So hop on there, grab that free call. And if it helps and we want to continue to work together to make your business even better and more successful than it already is, then fantastic. That is wonderful because I love to help you. That makes my enablement genius just go yay. And I love it. So if you found today's episode helpful, or you know somebody who would find this helpful, then pass it along to them. Like the video, leave a comment, leave a review on your favorite podcast app, and let everybody know that we can address these quote unquote, these problem employees together. I hope you enjoyed the episode today, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Business Building Blocks podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Building Blocks podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. If you found value in our conversation, please leave a quick review, like, or share. It helps us reach more amazing listeners like you. For more resources and insights, visit KristinaSchmitt.ca, where you can find tools and support to empower your leadership journey. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.